Hello everyone, I'm Cool Guy, welcome back. This week I have some reviews coming out for Randy's Throwing Knife, that one's next, a couple more things, some live gameplays, I have some things lined up, but today I want to talk about the artifact. Real short and sweet video, at least I'm going to try to make it that way. I'm going to give some thoughts on it and the future that it has right now, but more so with the future of Destiny 2 in PvE and PvP. I think it's important to talk about it now because this artifact at this moment is a part of that vision going forward with Destiny 2. It's a big part of it. And with these things, it's a conversation. Over the years, I've been very fortunate that my comment section's been really respectful, so keep that tradition going. It's okay to disagree, but please be respectful. We all share the same passion here. Now, the focus is to talk about what you like, what you don't like about it, and for the most part, I'm kind of on the fence, but I do see some things that could be tweaked. There's a couple things I can think of to improve the artifact, and there's some aspects that possibly should be dialed back a little bit. Now, Bungie said back on August 29th, it was actually Luke Smith that, let me pull this up, that the vision for the artifact is to allow us to fully customize your build by unlocking mods and sockets. They want the artifact to let them experiment more freely within the sandbox, a system that allows players to create build-altering powers but not commit indefinitely to whatever they made and have that live on forever. They do want new builds to be made but not get them hitched to the forever combat ecosystem. With Shadowkeep, we have Armor 2.0. I personally like it. With the content update, we have new weapons from Eris, the Dungeon, the Raid, new activities, Vex Offensive, the Altar of Sorrow. I like it. I really do. They introduced anti-barrier champions, unstoppable champions, overload, and they seem to pop up in the higher end activities, the Raid, things like Nightfalls. You have to coordinate with your team on who has what. I like that part. And they even pop up in some activities like Vex Offensive, but looking at the artifact, yes, you can create build-altering powers. Oppressive Darkness in PvE is awesome. Disruptor Grenade's awesome. Looking through it, you see the theme that's going on, and I really do hope that next season it just isn't lateral moves. I hope that Arc Battery isn't turned into Solar Battery. Oppressive Darkness instead of Void now works with Arc, and so on. Hopefully a lot of them are new perks, but looking through it and using it, you see enhanced loaders for Fusion, SMG, Bow, Auto Rifle. Those are good, and on the other side of it, they're pairing with anti-barrier rounds. Mods only used on ARs and SMGs, anti-barrier hand cannon, unstoppable hand cannon, things like that. Now these higher end activities where these champions are, you need those rounds. And you would kind of think that this half of the artifact is going to kind of stay the same. Next season it might be rounds for a sniper, scout, pulse, sidearms, or some variation, and of course that's pure speculation. But since they're so specific to take the champions out, my thing is it a missed opportunity to not include exotics for each archetype? You nerfed auto reload, you nerfed a number of things, and you buff exotics for PvE and say that you want them to be used, but when the time comes, there are better legendary options just like before. And in this case, simply because you can't mod the exotic. Now, we've never been able to mod exotics, but what would be so wrong with throwing on unstoppable hand cannon rounds on the Ace of Spades? Or the overload rounds on the Suros Regime? Or overload rounds on the Risk Runner? Even then, most of the time, it probably isn't even the top tier loadout. I've been getting through most pinnacle activities with the Izanagi, Recluse, and Wendigo. I mean, really, like the Monte Carlo came out this season and I would love to use it in a Nightfall, but why would I do that when I can use overload rounds on, let's say, a Tiger Spike? I would love to use Thorn, but I kind of have to lean towards something like an Austringer with unstoppable hand cannon rounds for the unstoppable champions and so on. Now, it might just be me, but that's kind of why it's important to talk about. What do you think about that? Is that a missed opportunity? Is that something we should be able to do? Moving on to the Crucible, they said that PvP was getting cleaned up, they said that it felt neglected, and they moved around heavy ammo, they completely revamped comp, 3v3, survival, how the scoring works. They added in the Crucible labs for elimination to test the playlist. You would think that the ultimate goal here is going to be trials, and that is the hope, but the artifact is a big part going forward, and that's what I really want to talk about today. We have the new light players that are just getting into Destiny. Then on top of that, we have, quote, new light players that just keep spamming new accounts that cheat. So I'm not really going to talk about trials or anything like that because there's way too much to clean up before that should ever go live. But this season we have a weird meta going on. A lot of players are using scouts for Randy's Throwing Knife. So we have one group of players that are in the back getting their scout final blows. We have one group that's kind of in the middle just playing. And then we have a third group that is using that artifact to its potent potential. That third group, I'm sure you've been seeing them. It does indeed change the way that you play, from one-shot stickies to the Thundercoil Striker Titan. Now, this isn't new. With Thundercoil and Knockout, you can one-punch, and you could already do this with Worm Gods. That's really fun to do, really fun to play with. And if you want to do that for a Titan, it takes One-Eyed Mask out of the equation. But when you start one-punching with Worm God, that's taking up an exotic slot. With Thundercoil, I've seen One-Eyed Mask Titans, proc Recluse, running around with an Overshield, and then one-punching players. It's crazy out there. The artifact took away what an exotic did, and that artifact made a more powerful build. And I'll full circle in a second. And then we have the Arc Battery. And let me tell you something about Arc Battery. I play Hunter a lot. I play all three classes, but I play Hunter the most. The Arc Battery Hunter has to be up there as one of the cheesiest builds I have ever used. It's nuts. When you pair Arc Battery Battery, and that grants an overshield and reduced cooldown during activation for all Arc subclasses with Wormhusk, and then something like Bottom Tree Arcstrider that has a perk node that states you're harder to kill while dodging. It's straight up cheese. And in the background, you've just been seeing me rush people down with a shotgun, and you might be thinking, oh, there goes Cool Guy rushing people down again, but that isn't actually my style. I do challenge primary first, but with all of this combined, you can tank a ton of damage. Let's just stop for a second, just to get a roundabout number here. It can take 3 last word shots to the body, a melee while dodging, a last word body shot, and then 4 SMG body shots that do 11 apiece. That's over 300 damage. That's all I really need to know. So once I saw that, I was like, that's a lot. That might be a little bit too much. So I played literally rushing at people. As I was closing in, I would dodge, eating fusion shots, eating sniper shots, melees, all of it, just closing the gap and then shotgunning them. Sometimes I would even stop and wait for them to punch me again. Getting over 2 KD games, 45 opponents defeated, over 20 shotgun kills in that game. And I'll stop for a second. If you see a Wormhusk Hunter that's Arcstrider and they're coming at you, like, try to avoid them at all costs, man. Like, they could take up to 3 or 4 melees to take down. And as you've been seeing, I would dodge in, I would eat the fusion, or I'd eat their melee, or I'd eat their shotgun, and then I would just shotgun them. So as someone with my playtime, you would say I main Hunter. I mean, I look at it with clear eyes, that's strong. And I would even dodge from like 15 meters away, take a whole bunch of damage, dodge, and still close the gap and still get them, and it's nuts. But like I said, a lot of these things I'm still on the fence about. With these 2 things, Arc Battery, Thunderquill, things like that, the one-shot stickies, I guess it's okay for 6v6 quick play. I guess that's fine, especially right now, because as I kind of started with, it's kind of weird what's happening. You have the scout rifle users trying to land their headshots way in the back, and they hate the artifact users, like the Arc Battery Hunter and the Thundercoil Titan, because they get all up in their space. And on the flip side, you have the Arc Battery Hunters and the Thundercoil Titans that hate the scout users for being way in the back, so they rush them down. And in the middle, you have some dude just having the time of his life with a Monte Carlo. It's madness right now. The point is, when it comes to higher tier play, like comp, and even in the back of your mind, it's far away, think something like Trials. Are these things that you want in there? Do you just kind of roll with the punches and say, well, that's just how this season's going to play out? Because for real, if Trials was live right now, no doubt in my mind, those players that want to win, you're going to be seeing these artifact builds all over the place. And that's how the game is going to be played in higher tier play. And then with the following season, with new perks, new builds are going to come out, that's going to be the new norm for those higher end PvP games. Do you do that, or do you just disable the artifact entirely for comp and things of that nature? It's something to really think about, and now's a really good time to have that conversation right now, because it's the first season with it. Because think, really, for the rest of the season pass with the artifact, it will have these things. We don't know how strong or what they will be, but they'll be there in some way as the seasons go forward with the artifact. So again, do you disable that for higher tier play? I'm not sure yet. Like I said, I'm on the fence, undecided right now, so let's talk about it. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, you rock. Thank you for your support. Got some reviews coming out this week. It should be really fun. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am Cool Guy.